Okay, so today's episode is going to be a little different because I'm going to be talking about how COVID had kind of impacted me and my business and my ventures and what I'm really trying to do.
This is the Sufi Business Cast, an unfiltered journey about starting a business from 0 to 10 million.
So, I'm telling you this, and I'm tired as hell because I've been going through. I've been having a crazy day. Okay, work's giving me a lot. My life is giving me a lot. Basically, I was just dealing with a tremendous amount of family stuff, trying to work out buying a house and all this kind of stuff. So it's been a pretty hectic day. I was trying to figure out also how to go about getting like business lines of credit set up and business phone, like getting my business phone taken care of. And yeah, there's a lot of shiggity. All right. So because of all the shiggity that I'm dealing with, I decided that I wanted to talk to you about something that wouldn't require as much mental effort for me. What I'm going to talk about is my experience with COVID. Now, I'm going to go ahead and preface this by saying I didn't actually personally get COVID that I'm aware of. I think I was asymptomatic, but everybody else in my family got it. Okay? And I was dealing with them and approaching them without a mask. So I clearly was exposed to it. But now let me kind of backtrack as to how it happened. Okay? So I live in a South Asian. I'm South Asian. My dad is Pakistani, right? And in our culture, it's very common for children to live with their parents even into adulthood, right? It's just a very common thing that we do, very brown thing. We just oftentimes just live with our parents because we do. And it's not a strange thing, it's perfectly normal. Most Americans are like, what the f***? You 30? Why you living with them? Listen, saves on money. So I can go ahead and leverage to be able to get my own stuff set up. And also, too, it works out to where I get a babysitter. Alright? For free! You over here paying for babysitters and stuff? Nah, I just take them downstairs. Yeah! What about that? You got that? Yeah, I thought so. Anyway, so the reason I ended up getting COVID is my mom and dad, the weekend of Halloween, had decided to go to, where the hell did they go? They went to some random part of Trump country, Georgia, and while they were there, I think my dad was there for work. Yeah, he was actually so my dad actually went to Trump country, Georgia, for work because he works as a USDA vet. He travels for work, and because he travels so much for work, oftentimes he'd end up leaving my mom at home. And on this particular occasion, my mom decided to go. So when she decided to go, my dad and her ended up going, to the hotel. And at the hotel, there were a bunch of people at the hotel, most of whom were not wearing masks, and hence my dad got COVID, right? And my mom. And they were coughing and sneezing and doing all this fun, doing all the fun COVID-related stuff. And, they had tried to, when they had come home, they didn't really quarantine themselves. So my child, who's a 2-year-old, goes up to them and they're coughing on him. He then spreads it to us, to me and my spouse. So when he spread it to me and my spouse, what ended up happening is he had a fever and chills for like a day, like one day, and then he was fine. My wife was knocked on her because of COVID. Okay, so when she ended up catching it, like, her and my dad and my mom were all bedridden for weeks, literally weeks. I was not. I was responsible now for taking care of a healthy 2-year-old and 3 sick adults. So it was not an easy experience because, you know, when, I don't know if you know this, but when most people get COVID, it's really heavy on their body because it's a respiratory disease. So what ends up happening is the simplest things of getting up, walking to the bathroom, being able to do anything that involves some aspect of breathing is super difficult. It even messes with your brain function because it's respiratory, and guess what your brain needs? It needs oxygen. So because it's affecting your respiratory system, it does all sorts of funky things with your body. So when that happened, like, I'm spending this time taking care of them, right? Meanwhile, my business is having to be put on hold. And it's so small at this point that I can't putting it on hold is literally just that. It is putting it on hold. It's not generating any extra income. It's not generating any, it's not really even generating that much in terms of steady income other than what passively is being put into it. And at this time, I was supposed to be investing a little bit more into my marketing sequence, and also applying for a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit, through the business for one of the properties that we have, to be able to, leverage that to be able to buy more property, right? That didn't end up happening. That didn't end up moving forward. And at that time, because my W-2 is a contract job, I ended up losing out on that contract because I forgot to reply to an email quick enough to be able to put onto the next contract. So I ended up almost working for almost an entire month, going an entire month without working, which was obviously a big deal, because 1 month of income, not having it, burns through your savings, right? Especially when my income as well as my family's income was all being used to be able to order food, and that in itself was a difficult challenge because we were so you take for granted the basic things, like even going out for groceries. Bro, I had to order groceries from Costco and Publix and all this kind of stuff, and they would pick out the crappiest stuff. Like, I'll be asking for a freaking onion and half the onions are rotted. Like, what the heck is this? Like, why? Whatever. I'm getting petty at this point, but this is some of the stuff that I had to deal with. And family members, God bless them, they were checking in, making sure that we were okay, people calling and making sure. But I'm also the type of dude that I love that you're reaching out to me. Why don't you reach out when shit's going well? You only reach out when shit's hitting the fan. Come on, I love you, but for real. But that's just me being ungrateful. In reality, I was very grateful that people were reaching out, that they were trying to help out, were trying to really take care of me and do whatever limited things that they could do to kind of help out me and my family to get better. But I think the biggest challenge that we dealt with is that my dad ended up going to the hospital because his situation had really deteriorated, right? So then there was this constant worry of, okay, is he going to be okay? My dad's an overweight dude. And on top of that, he's also a senior citizen. So he's already in a category of people that is more likely to pass away from this particular disease. And as a result of that obviously caused me some natural worry, and everybody else in the family some worry, right? So in terms of how else that impacted my business, by simply putting it on hold, like, to be honest with you, it wasn't the worst, because as from the property that I have, it's generating that passive income. So that $1,400 a month was still coming in, but now, I didn't have any active income to really, back it up. So I had to use some of that passive income to kind of just support myself, unfortunately, and I had to do it as a payout to myself, which I didn't necessarily want to do. I wanted to keep that money in the business to keep growing it, but that wasn't really much of an option at that point, because I didn't exactly qualify for any other, federal assistance. Even with the way that the job works, I couldn't even technically apply for temporary unemployment or anything like that. Like, it was just, you're having to burn through your savings. That's what's got to happen. Okay, great. So what ended up happening after people in my family started getting better, that ended up taking about, I would say, 3 to 4 weeks before people started really getting their energy back. And my mom took forever to get better, just because also her being older, it just took a lot longer. And then my dad, he didn't come home until January, and he got this virus back in November, just because of all the crazy stuff that he had to deal with just healing. So basically, after we caught COVID, and my business had to go on hold, and then going into Christmas and the holidays, we didn't really get to celebrate anything. We didn't really get to do anything. So the only things that I was really able to do was okay, let me just sit back and try to formulate what my next move is going to be. And what is my next move? You're seeing it right now. I'm doing it right now. It is this journey of Sufi Business, right? That was what my next move was going to be, and it allowed me to sit down and kind of plan out what needs to be done, what are the things that need to happen to be able to make this happen. And in reality, a lot of this 2020 has been a rough year for a lot of people, but I have to say, honestly, for myself, it's been a year that has allowed me to really grow and learn about myself, and really learn about what's been possible, even despite having one of the biggest adversities that 2020 could possibly offer occur, not just to me, but to my entire family. So although it was kind of a struggle financially to kind of deal with it, in terms of not being able to push to move my business forward like I wanted, I had to realize, it's going to happen on its own time. And when you're able to execute on it, you will. Don't beat yourself up if you're not able to do it right this minute. People need to get better. People need to heal. Then you'll be able to do what it is that you need to do to make your dreams happen, to make your goals happen, essentially. So that's really one of the big things that I've been thinking about in terms of COVID, is what are the big lessons that I can take away from it? And maybe that's something that you can also think about too. What are the big lessons that 2020 took away from you? We're still in January as of the timing of this recording. So now there's a lot of time for you to really think about what are the things that really impacted you about 2020 and how you were able to move through it. Because it was very easy to just sit back and be like, oh, 2020 was a horrible year, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, there was challenges with it for obvious reasons, but I mean, what is considered horrible is subjective to different people, because it's all a matter of perspective, right? It is horrible that so many people lost their jobs, right? But it's also an opportunity to try to find out new ventures, right? It's horrible that so many companies had to make these huge adjustments so quickly, and a lot of things got lost in the scramble. But it's also very beneficial because many industries, mine included, aka the legal industry, was forced to move online, which it's been desperately needing to do for years, and it took 2020's pandemic to finally move everything online, like it should have been years ago. Even in terms of my business, what are the things that I needed to think about? Well, I should have maybe thought about the fact that, hey, look, you're trying to push so hard on your business, but you're not really taking the time to step back and really enjoy the process of how it's being built, and making sure that all of the mechanisms and systems that you're trying to set up are in place to be able to make it really more successful. So thinking about perspective is really, I think, going to change the game for you, especially as we're now in 2021, and people have these New Year resolutions of the things that they want to do and things like that. But it's all about how you set your goals and what perspective you're looking at your goals from, right? You're setting, for example, a goal that, oh, hey, look, I want to lose 25, 30 pounds by the spring. So, because maybe I might want to go to the beach, right? Or something like that. Then it could be literal, but if your intention is that, but then you're still not eating the right foods, still not dieting properly, which is all something that's entirely in your control for the most part. Do you really have an excuse as to why you can't hit your goal? It's a matter of your perspective. Is that chocolate bar so much more appetizing than eating a salad? Sure, but which one's your gut gonna thank you for? You know the answer to that, right? In the long run. So just thinking about perspective, I think, is going to really matter a lot, especially going into 2021. And I'm just going to leave you guys with that. I am super tired. I'm just going to get this recording out because, hey, easy content. And I'm going to film when I have some more energy. So I love you guys. Please make sure to like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram, check out or all that kind of stuff. Do me all these favors. I love you guys, and if you guys do it, I will be putting out more videos, and I'm more than happy to do so. So, hope to catch you guys later. Peace.